Cloutier. Is that right? Did I say it right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I got it now. Cloutier.
Cloutier.
So, yeah. At Common Desk, Deep Ellum, Tamale Mafia podcast, hanging out, and once again here in Deep Ellum, Common Desk. Not a sponsor, but I am giving them a shout out because they have an awesome space here. So if you're into any kind of, like, if you work for yourself, or you're a student, or you study or whatever, and you need some space to come, like, park your desk or park your laptop on a desk, and you're just sick of Starbucks, this is the place to do it. And Common Desk actually has locations all over the Metroplex, so it's not just Deep Ellum.
No, I didn't know that.
And if you became a member, like these folks are out here that we're looking at, if you became a member, then you have access to all their locations. So you don't have to come work here; you can work anywhere. They have a location.
I think they have some pricing though. It's pretty nice.
Plano and Fort Worth, yeah. I mean, it's an investment. So most of these people are not just like students. Most of them are entrepreneurs that are launching some kind of business, or they're working on an app and they have funding and, that kind of stuff. But my buddy, office is here. He's a graphic designer, so he kind of he was the connection, and we got the spot here to set up the studio and have some fun podcasting, because I've had a lot of people request to be on the show, and today I'm hanging out with my buddy Joshua Cloutier, who is one of those guys who said, "Hey man, I want to come be on your show," and he's been listening for a while, and so we tried a couple of different times to figure out how to hook this up and how to get our schedules aligned, but we finally got it done.
It's a long drive between each other.
Yeah,
very long.
Yeah, because I mean, this is kind of the middle, right?
Yeah, I think it is. I think this is probably, it takes about an hour. How long does it take to get to where you're at?
It'd be an hour and a half without, if there was like no rain and no traffic, it would be an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. So you're a little further out.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're what, an hour 10 or so?
No. If I'm speeding and there's nothing on the road, I can do it in about 45. I mean, that's good.
Okay,
That's 85 miles an hour.
Yeah,
no
problem. Clear road, no rain, no traffic. Yeah,
it's 55 miles. 55 miles from my house to, actually, yes, to here. It's about 55.
55 miles. Okay, I'm 98 miles.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
well,
so
too bad.
It's out there, but I like being out there. Both of my kids are out there, and so I get to see them more. But it's also kind of cool being out in the country, and just it's a different kind of feel to living.
I love the country. And I thought when I moved to Burleson, I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm out here in the country. There's no one around us. Of course, at that time, it was still building up, And now you can't do nothing. I mean, you really can't. I mean, you can a little bit. You go like maybe a couple miles on the road, and you're pretty much, there's nothing there. But it's building up, but it's not a lot of houses. I mean, there are houses, but what they're building now is businesses, car dealerships.
Shopping centers and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know that I would recognize Burleson. The last time, I mean, some of the listeners probably heard me talk shit about Burleson in previous episodes. But the last time I was in Burleson was, oh my God, probably more than 6 years ago.
There's no way. Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Let me think. I was talking to my wife yesterday, and she goes, I told her, I said, hey, don't forget, I'm going to be on a podcast tomorrow, so I'm going to be home late. I might not be home on regular time. And she goes, oh, yeah, you're going to be there with Aaron. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, the only reason why you went to church is because of that guy. And I go, what? What do you mean? And apparently we showed up to the church. I know this is going way off beat, but I just wanted to say real quick. We showed up to that church just to check it out, and you were playing.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, you had longer hair.
Yeah,
but,
I had hair back then.
Yes. And so I was up there, and I was like, man, I want to do that. That's just what I'm talking about. And my wife said, now she told me this. Now, I mean, I don't, it's been a long time. And I'm not saying she's lying. I'm just saying, but she said that I looked up there and I said, I want to play guitar just like that guy, man. I want to go up there. I just want to jam out because I can play guitar. It's just I've never performed in front of people. So then I think you left. I played bass for like 2 years with them, and then I played with another covered band or whatever, or something like that. And we jammed out that one time at your house. A bunch of us did. So yeah, it was cool. Very cool. Very interesting story that just kind of connected.
Yeah, that's interesting because I didn't know that you played after I left there. Because once I left there, I didn't have any contact with anybody really. I mean, they kind of
I see. You know
cut
what?
the ties, so to speak.
They did the same thing to me, and I mean, I'm not going to say nothing bad about them. I'm just saying some things happen. Not that I did, just some things happen, and we parted ways, and I was like, all right, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. But I had fun. I had a great time, But yeah, what happened, I guess they had a guitar. Some guy came in. He played guitar. And I was like, hey, I want to play. Because I was in the back. I was doing all the, all this stuff with the computers. And I was doing lights and all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. And I said, I just want to get up there. And he's like, well, can you play bass or anything like that? I said, you know what? Give me a week or two. I went out, bought a bass, and I started playing and did some YouTube videos or whatever. And I said, there you go. How's that? And I said, all right, you can play. Let's go. So then I went up there and I played bass for, like I said, a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
2 years, whatever. It's awesome.
That's cool. How long have you been playing guitar?
Okay, to be honest, I've been playing guitar for, I want to say maybe 10 years. What am I now? Oh, man, I'm old now. Maybe 12 years. But it was on and off. I would play, and then I would just put it up. I just wouldn't touch it for months,
Yeah.
And then I'll pick up again. But it's one of those kind of deals. It's like a love-hate kind of thing. My whole deal was, you know what? I just want to learn how to play. I want to learn how to play the guitar. I want to learn how to, strum. I want to learn how to pick. I want to learn all these things. And when I got to that level, I was like, that's pretty cool. Awesome, I can do this. And I'm one of those guys that I get excited about stuff. And as soon as I accomplish that goal, I lose interest. Like, totally, But
it's about the challenge of it.
Exactly.
Like you're addicted, or not addicted, but you're chasing that challenge.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds terrible. I know it does.
No,
it sounds
terrible. It's just part of who you are.
Yeah. So, I accomplish my goal, and I move on. And I go, okay, I want to do something else. It's kind of like I want to go visit Europe or something like that. Or I want to, whatever it might be. Hey, I went to Europe twice in the past, year and a half, 2.5 years. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. I've been to Europe before. It's cool, It's pretty cool. I went to France, and I went to the Louvre, and I saw the Mona Lisa, and I've done all that kind of stuff, Of course, my tour there was very, very short because I'm not a big guy into museums and stuff like that. So my thing was, okay, I'm going to walk in here. I'm going to walk as fast as I can. I'm going to go straight to the Mona Lisa. I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to go over here. And then, I was running through that whole entire thing. And it's huge. If anyone's ever been there before, it's a huge place. So, yeah, that's just my personality, I guess. Which, it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just that.
No, it's not bad at all. It's just kind of who you are.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you played the guitar, you got where you wanted to go, and then you just kind of backed off of it, or?
Yeah, I backed off, and this is going to sound kind of funny too. I graduated high school early, at the age of 17, and graduated in December. And this is back in 2001, and I graduated high school, and it's a long story, but ended up here in Texas. Okay, when I was
Where are you from?
military life, so I was a military brat.
Okay.
But I was living in California. That's where I was born.
Okay.
And my dad was retiring from there. He put in 26 years in the Marine Corps, hoorah. And but after high school, some things happened, and I ended up moving when I was 18 to Texas. Well, I was heading to Connecticut for my family, my Cloutier family, and stopped to go see my aunt in Texas, my aunt, Ann. And I never left. I never made it to Connecticut, never. So I stopped here, and I'm like, oh, man. She's like, why don't you find a job? So anyways, I found a job, and then she offered me a job, and, I always wanted to, pursue the career that I'm in now. And so I just had to wait, and I started going to college, taking college classes, and it took me forever. I didn't get my bachelor's degree, my undergrad, until 2013, in December, right? In December. So December, I graduated high school, 2001. Then literally 12 years later, I get my undergrad. But that's because, I got my career, I was established, a lot of things happened. You slowly started going back, and now that I'm in grad school, I'm going to be graduating this December. So it's all December.
December again?
December. And, of course, this year's going to be 2019. So it's going to be 6 years from my undergrad. And of course, I took about 4 years of just doing nothing. So, but, yeah, it's hilarious. It really is. Hilarious. But my wife always corrects me. She's like, it's not hilarious. It's not hilarious. But, yeah, so I think that I have to accomplish something. I have a goal, and I go for it, and I'm done. And I'm happy, Of course, all these classes that I'm taking are a pain in the butt. Grad school is no joke. But, I was thinking about this, too. It's like, do you really have to have a college education to be successful in life?
I don't think so. It depends on what you want to do. A lot of it depends on what you want to do. If you wanted to be a neuroscientist or something, then you probably couldn't really accomplish that without some paper to back you up, But if you wanted to design T-shirts or tennis shoes or something like that, I think you just go do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's my whole thought process now. It really is. Like, do I really need a degree? I mean, I'm going to get my degree. Don't get me wrong. But at
this point, you're so close.
Yeah, I might as well. I only have 4 classes left. So, I know people that don't have degrees. None at all. And they are the smartest people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
The smartest. And they got good jobs. They make good money, And I'm sitting here going, what did I do wrong? I got these student loans. Actually, now I don't. I'm paid up in full so far, but I got 4 more classes. So, and I'm just kind of sitting there going, okay, did I do something wrong, or did I choose the wrong career, or what? Am I just not smart enough? Because I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of people that I do know that have their master's degrees and their undergrads and all that kind of stuff, and they're not the smartest guys I've ever met. They are barely holding on. Barely holding on, So that's just a question that I ask myself. I don't know, but is it my personality? Is it the way that I think about about meeting that goal and just going on that makes me do what I'm doing, or is it something that I feel I have to do, or is it the career choice that I chose, or what is it?
So your current degree path is going to impact your career?
Overall, no. I'm pretty much maxed out. I mean, it's done what it's done, and it's giving me my raise.
Can we talk about what you do, or can we not?
We can without talking about where. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I've been in law enforcement, so it'll be 13 years in June.
Not December.
Yeah, not December, unfortunately. Now, that would be funny. Yes. So having my degree, which is going to be in criminal justice administration, getting my undergrad, getting my bachelor's helped me with, making more money. Not a lot, you know, don't get a lot of money, but it helped me a little bit, give me a little bump. My master's degree is in, like I said, criminal justice administration, and that's going to help me possibly teach if I want to in the future. My goal is to retire, you know, after however long, 25, maybe 30. I really don't want to do 30, but 25 years, and then just teaching at some small community college and just living my life. I got my small little pension. It's very, very small little pension. And then making my minimum wage or whatever amount of money they're going to give me at some small town community college, you know, and I'll be happy with that. But then again, then comes to my personality. So what am I going to want to do next? You know?
Yeah. You're going to have to challenge yourself with something.
My wife and I were just talking about this the other day, and I said, okay, because she has her master's. She received her master's back in August. She does social work. So she got her master's of social work, and so proud of her. It's awesome. So her and I are the first ones in our family, both families, okay, to ever have an undergrad, ever have a bachelor's degree, all right? And now we're going to be the very first to have a master's degree.
Wow.
So it's crazy. It's crazy on both sides. I'm talking about both sides, both parents, everything. So there's no one in our family tree that has
as educated as you two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
It's just awesome. I thought so. I think it's kind of cool. But you know, when they talk about education and people being smart and using these huge words, right? So people that are like, they'll have a conversation with somebody. And they say, oh, man, that guy's so smart. And I'm like, why is he so smart? And he's using big words like ambiguous and all these other big... And I'm like, no, that's not what it is. Just because someone speaks, you know, and uses these words that pretty much probably 90% of the people don't understand what the heck they're saying, doesn't mean that he's an intelligent person. Doesn't mean he's very, very smart.
Yeah.
So I have, you know, my wife, she uses big words, and she is smart. Me, on the other hand, you know, like a lot of other people, have a reading level of what do they say it is? It's like 7th grade or maybe 8th grade. It's something along that. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the average
Yeah.
reading level, yeah.
So talk to people like that, you know. Talk to people like they're average or whatever. Unless you're amongst, you know, these people that have huge brains and they,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just how I think. I mean,
I had a extended family when I was married, and all my in-laws were like the most highly educated people I'd ever been around. Their family motto was education is godliness. And so they were extremely focused on high levels of education, master's and doctor's degrees, all of them. And some of them used their degrees and some of them didn't. It was just you just had to have one if you were going to be seen as a successful member of that family. And the conversations that would take place during the family reunions were like, it was always like the competition level was just to see who's smarter, like which of the siblings was the smartest. And they would just banter about things that nobody gives two shits about. But just to try to prove that I'm the smartest one in the room, kind of a thing. I was always just like, dude, you guys, like, what is this all about, man? Who cares? You know? Yeah, you're all the smartest people in the room when you stand. You know, like I dropped out of college because I failed math 6 times. Yeah. You know, it's like I just kind of like gave up. Like, fuck, I don't care anymore. So I was like not even invited into the conversations half of the time. You know, it was just like I was the outsider for sure because I didn't have the education, I guess. But I don't know. I don't think that, going back to your earlier question, I don't think that that education is the most important thing you can do. But I do think that if it's what you choose to do, then you should do it. You know what I mean? If if it's what you choose to do, if it's the path that, oh, if that's the path that you're going to take, then, stick with it. And I think what you're doing is awesome, even though it's taking you. Okay, so it's a total of.
Let's call it 2001. We'll say 2001.
So 18.
18 years. Man, I should be a doctor by now.
Yeah, but with taking, you, like you said, you took some time off and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I want to kind of go back.
Okay.
And ask you some questions about what you've been talking about. If I cross anything that you can't answer, just let me know. Hey, next question or whatever.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
But going back, okay, you came out of California.
Yeah.
After high school, and you stopped off in Texas, right? And you got a job here, and then were you always like, eventually I want to be in law enforcement, or was it something that you discovered later on?
I knew around the age of, I want to say 16 or 17. My first choice was to go into the military.
Okay.
Because my father and my uncle and all that kind of stuff. It's just like a family thing, whatever. And
were they all Marines or just your dad?
My dad and my uncle were, yep. They both were. And then my grandfather on my mother's side, I think, was in the Navy or Air Force or something like that. Yeah. So military, it's been running in my family all this time on both sides. And my grandfather on my mother's side, he got stabbed in the chest, almost in his heart, during the war in Okinawa, Japan, which is crazy because we actually lived in Okinawa, Japan. And my brother, like I said, he's in the Air Force. He's a PJ, pararescueman, Special Forces, Air Force. Mm-hmm. He's going through OCS right now, which is Officer Candidate School, to become an officer. And he actually graduates the end of this month. So I'll be flying out there. I think it's Montgomery. It's somewhere in Alabama. That's where the school is. So it's really cool. It's really awesome. And, after failing, I went to MEPS and all that stuff. They have this thing called, if anyone knows anything about it, the nuts and butts. So they call it nuts and butts. And I went through all that stuff, did the whole thing, tried twice, and they just disqualified me both times because of my history. Now, we all know that if you have asthma, if you have flat feet or anything like that, they're going to disqualify you. They don't want people with, these kinds of things in the military. My problem was I had a brain tumor when I was 5. So I had a brain tumor, and then I had a VP shunt, which is, it's a long story. If one knows what that is, look it up. And, so then we had a surgery about a year before I went and applied for this military thing, and it's called a third ventriculostomy, which is basically a hole that goes into your third ventricle to help with the fluid in your brain, in your head and stuff. And that's what the VP shunt was for. The VP shunt was to help move the fluid from the brain into the stomach and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a doctor, so don't take me for, taking quotes and like that. But so they would take the shunt out of your head. They would put a hole pretty much in your third ventricle, and then your body and all that stuff would naturally drain this fluid, into your stomach and through your ventricle and all that stuff. So you don't need the VP shunt anymore. Now, if I had the VP shunt in, then I'd be like a foreign object, and that's automatic disqualification. You can't have that in your body. And in the military, it would be like, no. So that's why I got a year before. It was pretty cool. And I went to apply, and they said, nope, you have to have 5 years. 5 years, you got to be good to go. And then you can come back, and you can apply. And I'm like, man, it sucks. But okay. So I left, and then, what do you know? A couple months.
Were you still in California at this time?
Still in California. I was 17 when this happened. And because you can apply at 17 with parents, signature and all that stuff. But and a couple months later, boom, it failed. This procedure failed. Scar tissue, I guess, covered over the hole. I had a real bad episode. Rushed to the hospital, all that kind of stuff, and they had to implant. They had to put a tube back in me and all that kind of stuff. So, and I've been like that ever since. So, I've been through a lot of surgeries growing up, and Yeah, it's been pretty bad. But I'm fine. I'm alive. You know, I can still do all the normal stuff that everyone else does. I always played sports and stuff. So,
Yeah.
and if you looked at me, you wouldn't tell. I mean, no one can ever tell, especially not now with all this hair that I got going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting story. It's a long story. That's just the gist
yeah.
of it. You know what I mean? That's pretty much the gist. But
Yeah.
it's interesting, very interesting to say the least. But yeah, law enforcement was definitely something I wanted to do, even if it was in the military. So, you know, become an MP, you know, or what they call it, security forces, an Air Force, whatever. That's what I want to do. I was like, that would be great. I do that. I can do minimum 4 years at least, or I can stay in for life. So that was a mentality that I had. And of course, the military was sounding a lot better because you get, you know, pretty much almost free medical at that time if you put in 20 years. So, and I would have been grandfathered in. Nowadays, I've heard that it's kind of changed a little bit, but at that time, I would have been grandfathered in, and it would have been fine. So, yeah. So after that didn't work out, you know, like 2 years later is when I moved to Texas. Actually, yes, to Texas, and my whole mindset was law enforcement. I got to get to law enforcement somehow. How is this going to happen? You know, it's funny because people are like, why do you want to be a cop? And I'm like, because I suck at everything else. But yeah. But the reality of it is that it's just something I really want to do. You know, military, law enforcement. It just, to me, it feels like it's almost hand in hand. You know, one, you're overseas, and you're helping your country. Two, you're here, you know, helping your city, helping your state, helping, you know, whatever it might be. So, we get a bad rep, and it's pretty bad. It sucks. You know, I'm sure you run into some people that just hate, you know, what we do for a living. So
Yeah.
But yes, I now unfortunately I'm on pretty much not restricted duty, excuse me, light duty due to my, you know, surgery that I had a couple years ago. So
Yeah. So, kind of looking at that, when you went into law enforcement, they didn't have any issues with your surgeries or anything that you'd been through.
No,
And you'd been healthy for a while.
I weighed 170 pounds, I believe. I was doing 72 to 75 push-ups in a minute. I was running, you know, a mile and a half in like 10 minutes or less. I mean, I was good to go. I mean, I was in good shape. I wore size medium. Of course, people call it medium, but no shirts. But you know, yeah, I was in pretty good shape. I was awesome. It's awesome. It's great.
So you got in. How many years ago was that? You said 12 or 13?
Ooh, yeah. That when I first got in, that was almost 13 years ago.
Yeah.
13 next month. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, was it 2 or 3 years ago when you?
It was. Actually, I think it was longer than that. I think it's been 5 or 6. It's been 6 years. Something like that. Yeah.
Has it really?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Doesn't seem like it's been that long.
You're telling me. I'm. It blows my mind every time.
So something happened there, right? I'm not totally clear on the details.
The details on what happened with the brain tumor thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what happened was being on the streets. Okay, a lot of cops, a lot of law enforcement, a lot of security guards, a lot of whatever. They tend to eat like crap, right? We eat like crap. We really do. Don't have time to do anything, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So I gained a lot of weight, and probably about 50 pounds. And my buddy and I, who I've known for a long time, he lives in Vegas now, and he's in his 60s, but we used to work together when I first moved here. He was a programmer. Anyways, he bet me. He said, you know what? I bet you can't lose 50 pounds. He asked me, how much weight are you overweight? I said, I'm about 50 pounds. He goes, I bet you can't lose it. I said, dude, I can lose it. I can lose this in a year. I can lose this shit in 1 year. I'll bet you. He goes, really? You want to bet me you'll lose 50 pounds in 1 year? I said, yes. He goes, how much? And I'm not a betting man. I'm not a betting man. I hate betting. I don't do any of that stuff. So my cheap ass is like, okay, $1. I bet you $1 $1 that I can lose 50 pounds. And you know what? Boom, just like that. I was working out like a madman. I was getting up there. It was crazy. I was running 5 miles a day, and that is no exaggeration. I mean, it took me some time to get there, but yeah, I was running the 5 miles, and I lost 50 pounds in probably about, 8 months, 8 months, something like that. Lost it all. And so I went from 235 down to, what is that? I don't know, 185 or something like that, 185. And I even lost another. I went down to 180. So 180 to 130, give or take, it's about 50 pounds. So I made the goal. And I said, I made it, man. I made it. And it was a state fair this time. He goes, oh, all right, well, here you go, motherfucker. Here you go. And he gives me $1. And, of course, that minute I'm like, fuck. But I felt great. I made that accomplishment. I was keeping it off of doing all that, eating great, all that stuff. So I was having problems with my eyes, though. The entire time, my eyes, there was something wrong with my eyes. It was like, I can't even explain it even now. It was just like kind of going in and out, getting blurry a little bit, in and out. And I didn't know what was going on with me. I had no idea. Wasn't even thinking about brain tumor stuff, And then I ended up having it's kind of like a seizure. It's kind of, I'm going to call it a seizure. I'm pretty sure it is a seizure, but it's one of those ones where your body just stops and you are wide awake. You can see everything, but you can't move. You're not convulsing. You're not doing any of that stuff. Your body just kind of goes limp, and you basically are like a vegetable. And that scared the shit out of me. So,
had never happened before.
Never happened before. Never.
Wow.
Yeah, it happened at home. And I was like, no.
Good thing you weren't driving or something.
Yeah, I know. And
Jeez.
I remember that I was going through some stuff at work, a program. I can't talk too much about it, but I had some pretty awesome assignments that I was working, okay, at the time. And just doing a lot of, undercover work and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, man, I got to do this. This is like my dream. I want to do this for years, So I was doing all that, and one day I was at headquarters, and I walked into the office, and I just kind of fell against the door. Same thing happened. And I am like, no, fuck this. I got to go to the doctor. So I talked to my sergeant, who's a buddy of mine, and he told me, he said, hey, you're not looking good, man. You just let me know if you need help. So I walked over to his office that second, and I said, all right, you got to take me to the hospital. And I went, boom, they found out that I had a brain tumor, and then they weren't sure if it was the same one or if it was a new one, or they think that maybe it might have been growing all these years, because when I had my first one, it was like 1989, 1990, and back then they didn't have that stuff that they stick in you now, that dye. What to do is they stick that dye in you when you're doing an MRI,
yeah,
and it lights up all the stuff in your body.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was pretty awesome. But no, that's pretty awesome. The dye's awesome, not me having a tumor. But yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, that's a lot of other stuff. But I'm not going to spend an hour talking about it. Yeah.
So that put you down for a little while, right? Because I remember you had to go to Houston, didn't you, to do your surgeries and stuff?
Yeah, I had to. That's a whole other story. But yeah, I got down to Houston. That's where my doctor is, Dr. Lang. And this guy's amazing. One of the only 5 guys in the world that could have done this surgery. And he is a lifesaver. This guy's amazing. 13-hour surgery that he did for me, And after everything was done, I was in rehab. I was in all these kind of things for like 6 months, and it really sucked. But after it's all said and done, I tried to get back into, working. I'm like, I'm fine, But the mind, the brain, the human brain is a very sensitive thing, and it's a powerful thing. You can really heal itself, and it just takes a long, long time. So my body was still healing, and it's been less than a year, less than a year. And they pulled me off the streets, and they go, no, you can't do this because you can't see nothing. You can't. My peripheral vision's pretty much gone at the time. Now it's fine, But at the time, and I didn't even know I needed glasses. My eyesight was kind of blurry and stuff, And the kind of work that I was doing at the time, yeah, it was something that was pretty serious, very, very serious. And they made the right decision. Pulled me off, stuck me in a place where I'm at now, and I've been there ever since. So it blows. It does. But, still a cop, still, qualify, still do everything I need to do. They just don't want me on the streets, because you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Anything can happen.
But that's where you want to be, right? I mean, that's where your heart was and is.
Yeah. That being a beat officer and doing all that kind of stuff and interacting with people is pretty interesting and rewarding at the same time. The area I worked in was very bad. It's very, very bad. And I just, at the time, I thought I was making a difference. And I'm not going to talk bad about the people. I'm not going to talk bad about the department. I do have my own opinion, But I will say that I do miss it. I miss it. So, But, my wife, she's happy. She's like, I'm so happy you were not out there anymore. Because, I was freaking out all the time and I was doing this and now I don't have to worry about that, And it's fine. It's fine. I'm going to college. I'm still working. I'm still bringing home a paycheck, so that's good.
Yeah.
Paying bills. I'm not going to be rich, but that's all great stuff. That's all good stuff. And, and every now and then when I get, something in my mind that I want to do, I end up doing it. And then, so after December comes, which will be the third December in a row with my degrees and graduations, I'm gonna think of something else to do. I'm gonna have to,
Yeah.
And then we'll just kind of go from there and just see what exactly it is. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. I really don't. I always want to do a backflip, but I'm too out of shape right now to be doing that. But for real, that's a true story. That's a true story.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. I mean, I'm sure you can. There's way older guys doing backflips, So you got a lot of years left to try to figure out how to do a backflip.
Yeah, a buddy of ours had his wedding was a bachelor party, and we ended up going to Louisville Lake. This is probably 6-7 years ago. Wow, that was before. And Louisville Lake, we got on those pontoon boats or whatever, and we're floating around, and we started trying to do backflips off of the boat. So I accomplished that. I accomplished doing a backflip off of that. I was a lot better shape too. But the a standing backflip, that's probably not going to happen. Maybe a back handspring if I really tried, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
It's crazy though. It's freaking crazy.
So you, without saying anything really too detailed, but the city that you work for, the place that you work for, has seen some ups and downs with their department.
I to answer that question, I'm gonna try to mask the answer. A lot of cities have their ups and downs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Has mine? Of course. Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not calling them out specifically,
Yeah.
and I definitely won't say any names. Just kind of my question being more.
But there's been things that happened. Yes. There's a lot of things that have happened.
There's, I guess, in light of certain events, there's been some kind of a spotlight put on the culture of the city and how it relates to the department, and I guess I'll give you an example and then to kind of clarify what I'm saying, because I don't want to say too much, but I still want to get this question out. I was doing a ride along with another city, and we had this conversation during the ride along, and he was kind of the officer was addressing kind of the racial tensions and things like that, the tension between certain groups of people in the city and the police officers, and he was addressing that. He was like, "It's all in the news, man. I don't experience that out here when I'm out here on the streets every night. I mean, it's not what."
It's fake news.
Yeah, so that's kind of how he presented it. And is that kind of your feeling on it too, or you see it differently?
I it's kind of funny. I remember, and it still happens now. Things happen a lot in your city, in any city, especially in the city that I'm in, and we don't even hear about it until we hear from the news. Okay, like you'll hear it on the news first before you hear it from anyone else. Like, what? So and so got arrested? What? Something,
yeah.
Something like that. And you're like, well, wait a second. Don't you think we should know as fellow officers that one of our own got arrested, or hey, we had, X amount of officers get shot, or whatever it might be. I think that we should be the first ones. But in certain situations we are, if you're working that channel or whatever and it's going on right then and there. The issue, I believe, lies not on beat officers and officers on the street. It's got to be... See, but then that just kind of that kind of makes it sound really bad. The decision is made from someone else. You know what I mean? It's not made from, the officers that are running and gunning. And I believe that some of the information that is out there, that gets out there, and number one, is fake. That is not as bad as people think it is. Okay? In our city, okay? In our city. It's not, I don't think it's as bad. Do I think society as a whole is changing? Oh, yeah. It is. It's definitely changing. Thought process, the way people think, the way that people perceive law enforcement, the way that people react. I mean, people talk about, the millennium's this and the millennium's that, and that's a question. It really is. How do you think these people got like that, though? I'm gonna try to twist this up just a little bit. And it's like also another subject too. So you have these individuals who people are blaming, going, "Hey, these are the people making all the problems. These are the people that have no respect. These are the people that," whatever it might be, okay? But do you think it's society that made them like that, or do you think it's their parents that made them like that, or their lifestyle that made them like that?
I think it's a combination of all of those things.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Because everything's constantly changing. Everything's constantly changing. And I don't know. That's a hard question.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some questions in my brain, I think, that are maybe off the recording questions, because there's some really specific things that I think would clarify this topic, but I know we can't go there, so just move on to something else.
I have so many things I can talk about, but we don't have a lot of time. I understand. That's so many things. So
yeah,
many. Not just this subject. I'm talking about just a lot of things that I've been thinking about.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Maybe that's your next challenge.
I thought about it. Yes. I think it would be awesome. I mean, I can sit and I can talk about stuff all day, but I know nothing about it. So you know what I mean? I know nothing about it. That's my thing. It's like, anyone can. I know you have to start somewhere. I understand that you have to start somewhere. I just think that. I mean, yeah, I would if I had people help me or tell me, you know what I mean? I think that would be awesome. But it would give me a hobby. That would be a really awesome hobby to do.
Yeah, because this is having a podcast is a lot of fun for one, but it's really cathartic at times. Whenever I can like just sit in my little loft and get my thoughts out, and then listen back to them. Like I don't listen back to every episode, but there are definitely episodes that I listen back to, and I'm like, oh man, that what I was thinking at the time or what I was talking about at the time resonates back with myself again now that I'm listening to it. You know what I mean? And I can kind of like stew on those same things and kind of like it's just cathartic. It's like a self therapy kind of thing. It's really fun having one and then being able to like just connect with people and stuff. I mean, I've enjoyed this conversation that you and I are having, and I mean, almost 50 minutes has passed since I hit record. And it feels like 6 minutes has passed.
It feels like 6 minutes. Yeah. We just started talking.
And it's like, dude, we definitely have to do this again. There's a lot more ground to cover. We barely got started.
This is nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is just one subject. I mean, trust me. Yeah. I mean, so many things, and it's crazy. I mean, there's so many things. But maybe that is. Maybe that's something that I need to do to get my, what do you call it, outsource my thoughts and feelings and stuff. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it sounds like a cool idea. You know, it sounds awesome. It really does. It's just putting in the time and effort and the money.
Yeah, well, I mean, after school and stuff, like you're talking about what your next thing is going to be.
Yeah.
It's something that I think you should think about it. I mean, you have an interesting delivery, your storytelling, and I've been very captivated just by the sound of your voice is very intriguing as well. So, I mean, I think if you had something that you were producing yourself and putting out there, I would listen to it for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I would be like, okay, what's Joshua going to talk about next? You know.
Oh, you don't want to know all the things I'm talking about. Trust me. You're like, all right, I got to turn that one off.
Yeah. So, kind of going back to your story there. So, you where does your wife come in? Is that after you've become an officer and you're already working?
You know, so I was married before. I had my first wife. I got married when I was 21, and she was in the military. There goes that military thing again, right? Mm-hmm. Did not last very long, obviously. She was 19, I was 21. It just doesn't work. And I've noticed this a lot is individuals who are in law enforcement. First of all, the divorce rate is so high, it's ridiculous for law enforcement officers. And same thing with military.
Yeah.
Okay. And then same thing with interracial couples. You know, my ex-wife was Bolivian. And so, and I'm a white guy, in case you can't tell by my voice. But no, so yes, the odds were against us, but we still tried it out, and it just didn't work. It did not work. It was terrible. And then my wife and I, my wife now, got married when I was 25 or 26. Oh, maybe I was older than that. I was 28. I don't know. I forget. But it was 7 years ago, a little over 7 years ago. And we got together a little after I got on the department. Yeah. So I was on the department for, I think, 2 years. No, I was on the department for, I think, 2 years before her and I met. And it was a blind date from a sergeant friend of mine. Yeah, his wife. This is a cool story. I know you hate these stories I'm telling you, but his wife worked with my wife at a dance studio. My wife had taught dance for, I don't know, 16 years or something like that, 15 years, for a long time. And we met on a blind date at Buffalo Wild Wings. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's how we met. And this is, pre my surgeries, this, all that stuff. So she knew me before all this, and we got married 2.5 years after we met. And then a year after we got married is when I had my surgery. So she'd known me for 3.5 years. It's not the longest time, but it's long enough. And she was there by my side the entire time. Don't get me wrong, I am the hardest person to live with, and I mean the hardest. I am a pain in the butt. I really am. And she deserves more respect than I give her. More, I guess, is that the word? Does that sound terrible?
More credit, maybe?
More
praise?
More praise. There you go. Yeah, that sounds better. More praise than I give her. And so, so she was there. I mean, she was, but she knew me after I had already been on the department for a couple of years. So I believe that is the way people should meet. And I'm not saying that happens for every couple, but if somebody wants to marry into law enforcement or marry into military or something like that, because in reality, it changes you. It changes you as a person. And I'm not saying it changes you into a bad person. I'm just saying that it changes you into somebody different. It opens your eyes. It really does. Mm-hmm. Before and after, I'm a totally different person. I mean, nowadays, I look at things, especially right after. Once you've been on for a couple of years, let's say 4 years, 4 or 5 years, and you work some pretty bad areas, your eyes are just open to everything, and you've seen a lot of shit, okay? And you've dealt with a lot of shit, and you look at the world a different way, and you look at people a different way. And when you work the streets, you tend to have this, I don't want to say cockiness to you, but it's kind of or not even an attitude, because everyone thinks, that we're assholes. You guys are a bunch of assholes, and you guys, no one likes you, and that's why. And but it's more of like, I don't know what the word is. I can't even think of the word. See, there's those big words that people use. Like right now, they'll just throw those in there and make it sound really good. But you know what I mean? Yeah. But no, so to hurry this up, I'm saying that I believe that when somebody marries into that or gets to know somebody after they've already been in, they're marrying that person. They're marrying that asshole or whatever. It's not like, oh, hey, let me marry you, and then you join the department and you turn into a totally different person. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. And then now I got to deal with this person. Now that's what makes it so hard for people. Makes it really hard. So,
do you think the biggest change for a person going into law enforcement happens at the beginning, or is it a gradual change? You just keep going down that path. The longer you're on the force, the further off you go down that path, or is it just like that initial first couple of years of having your mind blown by what you're dealing with and what you're seeing and what you're hearing every day, that it's like it'll shock the system, and then that's just who you are for the rest of the time. But does that make sense? Does my question make sense?
Yeah, I understand. From my perspective, and from a lot of people that I know, okay, the first couple years that you're in, I'd say probably 3 to 4, 3 to 5, something like that. By about 40 years, you know what you're doing. You are the shit. You know what you're doing. You got your stuff down. If you really care about the job, and if this is something that you want, it's not one of these jobs that you just get because you want a paycheck. If it's like, oh, this is the shit. This is the job that I want. This is what I'm going to do. If you're one of those kind of people, your first few years, you were just full of piss and vinegar, and you're out there and you're trying to learn a job, okay? You're trying to do everything you can to protect and serve and run and gun and all these kinds of things. And after you learn the process, after you learn these traits and these skills and all that kind of stuff to do what you're supposed to do, then you start realizing, okay, so this is how it goes. This is how, once again, if I say this and it sounds terrible, but you start realizing that your calls that you go to, all right, there's a lot of them that are very similar. I mean, you go to a lot of calls that are just very similar. Now, this is based on where you work at too. Okay, I can only speak for where I work at. These calls, they're very similar, and what happens is you fall into a bad situation every now and then, but you never know what's going to happen. And I've had some pretty bad incidences. Did I say it right? Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. So, I mean, really bad deals. And, you know, a lot of people have a lot worse than I do. But not only that, but when you get to that certain year, you know what you're doing. You know how to do it. You can go answer any call. Okay. And everything's not as exciting as it used to be. Now, there are that very few, maybe 5%, that they'll stay in patrol for 20 plus years and they love it. But that's rare. That is so rare. People are like, hey, 5 to 10 years, I'm done. I'm going to find me a spot in a bureau or something like that. I'm going to go, you know, work homicide, or I'm going to go work child abuse, or I'm going to go, you know, whatever it might be. They want to get off the streets. And then also you start realizing that most of the problems that you're having might not be just the people that you deal with on a daily basis. Maybe it's the people you're working with. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Not saying that they're bad people, just saying that there's a lot of problems you're having with them and supervisors and stuff like that. So to answer your question, I think that it's a little bit of both. I think that your attitude is different in the beginning, you know, and then once you hit a certain time, it just kind of gets to this point to where you make it your own. You know, when you get to a certain point, you're like, okay, am I going to do 20 plus and get my pension if we have one, or am I not? So
Yeah.
that's what I think. That's how I look at it.
Makes sense.
But,
Yeah, I mean, even in my line of work, and as a security officer, I'm like a micro percentage of the things that I experience are comparable, but you know, I get the opportunity to run radar and pull people over and, you know, write speeding tickets and stuff like that, and go to appeals hearings, and you know, it's like the place I work is like a little city. It functions like a little city, and we have our things that we have to do, and you know, there's like still there's no traffic stop that I make that my adrenaline's not pumping a little bit, that I'm not like, you know, people I run into are like, are you wearing a vest? I'm like, yeah, you know, and they're like, do you think we're that kind of people here? You know,
I don't know who you are.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's not about who I think you are. It's who I don't know. It's that I don't know who you are. And I don't know if I'm issuing a speeding ticket to somebody who's at the edge of financial ruin, or their wife left them last night, and they had that, if one more thing happens, I'm going to fucking go off. And now I'm pulling them over to issue them a speeding ticket. And, you know, so it's just those things are like constantly on my mind. And I always try to be aware of that could be that one, that like maybe, and it may never happen. I may never ever find myself in a situation, but I always want to be aware and like ready for it if it does happen.
You know, it's funny you say that, because number one, family violence is like the number one problem that we have. Yeah. I mean, because anything can happen. And number two, it's a true story. I'm going to tell you the story. I'm just going to tell you, you know, yes, you need to stay vigilant. You need to be active. You need to be, you know, really like, okay, keyed in the entire time, because what's going to happen is, and it's happened to me, and it happens to a lot of officers, you know, you just get complacent.
Yeah.
And as soon as you hit that complacency, that's when shit happens. And it's happened to me. And it's not good at all. You know, it's not good. It's not good at all. It's really bad. And, you get pissed off. You're like, holy shit, I've been doing this for 5+ years, and all of a sudden I go to this random call, and you think nothing of it. You're like, I've answered these calls hundreds and hundreds of times, and then you get to this house, and you walk in, and everything's different. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's something you've never dealt with before, but it's the same call. It's a family disturbance. It's a whatever it might be, and the comments might just be, hey, husband is irate and blah blah blah, whatever. But you get there, you're like, okay, not a big deal. Let's go over there. Let's go talk to him, talk to her, find out what's going on. No, that's not what happens. Next thing you know, you're thrown down, or someone's got a gun, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So yes, that what you're doing now, that's what you should always do, and people will tell you that, and no matter how many times they tell you, it's not going to register. It's just not it happens to everyone. It always happens.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm the community that I work in almost is a disadvantage to that vigilance mentally, because it's such a unique kind of group of people. Whereas when I've been in communities that were high crime, I was exhausted at the end of my shift, because I was keyed into every component of my body, feeling, watching, listening, waiting, looking at everything, trying to take it all in, and just being aware. And it got in several situations there that I was like, man, I'm glad I was paying attention. And one time where I wasn't paying attention, and then you're right, I got super pissed off, and I had to go behind a building and take a piss, because I was like, I was going to pee in my pants, man, And so it was like, I think there's, I have to mentally prepare myself and keep myself ramped up with it, because even some of my coworkers are like, dude, the only thing you're going to see here is maybe a stray dog, maybe you might run across a snake. And I'm like, you never know, dude. You never know. And I'm the only patrol officer we have on our community. The other guys just work the gate. So they're like, they don't have that sense of having to be out there interacting and watching, and you know what I mean?
I don't know how they do it where you're at. I really don't. I don't know the process. I don't know. I'm assuming it's a community, a gated community, right? Mm-hmm. And just when I hear one man, when I hear it's only one man, that bothers me. That really does, because most departments, almost all departments, they're, if you go to a disturbance call, they're especially family violence, it's going to be a mandatory 2-man. You have to have somebody there with you, because no one's Superman. You're not going to be able to go out there and...
Right. I've thought about that myself, and I would be much more comfortable if there was a 2-man situation. The way they view it there, I think, is that you are a 2-man because there's one guy up at the gate, but he's locked down. I mean, he's not coming to help. Mm-hmm. And from the night, because I do daytime patrol, and there's a nighttime patrol guy, and he's been there longer than I have, and he said, there's been times where he's called on the radio, called for help, and they go, yeah, I'm busy.
No.
And so we're not dealing with when we're in that situation, we're not dealing with people who understand what we're going through. Our guys, our backup, our guys on the bench are like 80 years old, 60 years old. They're not. So it's kind of a weird situation. That's another reason why I'm always like, dude, I got to be at the top of my game.
Yeah,
that's why I'm starting to work out more, and I'm trying to lose weight, and I'm like, I got to be, because it's really up to me at this point. There's nobody to call for help. It's me.
That's crazy. See, that's.
We have over 500 homes, so there's about 1,800 people that live there. That's a small little city. We have our own utilities and our own church and our own restaurant and our own.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a small little city.
Its own restaurant and church?
Uh-huh.
Wow. That's crazy. No, I didn't.
Yeah. So, and in that area, I mean, you're talking about 1,800 people. That's the size of a lot of the little towns out there that are covered under the county. So, our default backup is the county. And so when something happens that I can't handle or feel like I'm not capable of, I got to call the county. But then you're talking about how many minutes am I going to be on my own? So I really kind of keep myself in that always ready kind of mode.
And that's what's really sad too, is that almost every city that I know of, well, there's a lot of cities now, response times for law enforcement officers are ridiculous. It's not just one city; it's several cities. Even where we lived before, the place you hate, Burleson. That's the response time there. There has been a couple calls that people have made, and they've taken like 25, 30 minutes, and it's like, what? It's not a big city. Well, it's gotten bigger, but still. And response time is a problem. And if you have that many people, I just, do they not have the funds? Is that what the problem is? They don't have the funds to pay you guys?
There's just, I think it's a deal of, it's one of those deals where something's going to have to happen for something to happen. You know what I mean? It's one of those, like, nothing's ever happened here, so why would we have people asking, like, why they even need us at all, and so we're there to do a job, and some people don't understand it, some people don't like it, a lot of people love it, but we get a lot of those questions, like, I when I started there, they didn't use body cams or dash cams until I started there, and I just brought my own. I brought my GoPro camera from home and strapped it to my chest.
Yeah.
And they were like, "What are you serious? You're wearing a camera?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm wearing a camera." And then it came into play one time because somebody made a complaint about a stop that I made, and I was like, "No, that's not how it went at all. I have it on camera." And I showed them the video, and they were like, "This is amazing. We want this for all of our officers." And so they made it a mandatory thing, and they bought us all cameras.
Bingo.
But I was like, it's one of those things. Something had to happen for something to happen.
That's how it always happens.
Yeah.
That's how it always happens.
Which, unfortunately, I'm like, dude, it's going to take me getting my ass kicked.
It will.
Before something can change,
It's sad if if you know the towns around here, things do happen. People do get killed. People, situations go awry, and that's when they, take their little pens out and they go, okay.
Like, dude, you think you don't have drug abusers in your gated community?
Of course they do.
You think you don't have people that are running crime out of their house, or people that are beating their wives or their children? You think you don't have that stuff here? Just because you don't hear about it doesn't mean it's not here. I mean, and it's only a matter of time before one of us runs across a situation.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to happen. You might find out that someone's got freaking kids buried underneath a freaking cellar for 10 years. You know what I mean? That stuff happens all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, especially with a community that large, the odds that there's some wild shit happening under and behind those doors, you know what I mean?
You mean illegal wild things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
if it's legal, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm only there for the illegal stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. And it's really sad, but in today's day and age, we don't get enough praise for what we do. And I talked to my dad about this. Like I said, my father, he 26 years in the Marine Corps, and then he did another 10 as a civilian, so he had a GS job, and doing the same thing. I asked him, I said, why is it that people love military? They love the military, but they hate cops, they hate police, they hate law enforcement, they hate, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Why is that? I don't understand. He goes, well, do you remember, back in the old day, when they came back from war, people didn't like them.
Yeah, that's true.
Spit on them, call them baby killers.
Right.
And all this kind of stuff. And he goes, it's a circle. What happens is it's just gonna circulate. So right now they're loving military, hating police, but it's gonna circle around, and it's just this big circle. And it's just the way that society is and how people act and change their mind and all these kind of things. So I'm like, man, I just hope it happens, sometime soon. But
Well, the news hasn't helped at all in the last few years, and we could talk about why, but I don't think we should, and how all that played out. But you can pinpoint some moments in time that hit the news cycle, and certain high-profile people picking sides, and then it's just been a battle ever since. I think that really started to shift the culture or the mentality and the feelings toward law enforcement. And then you have like these different movements come out, with certain names, and then you had to. I mean, do we have to have a group called Back the Blue? Shouldn't everybody support our police officers? But no, we have to have certain groups to claim that what side you're on.
Well, it's because there's so many other groups that have names that,
right?
It's just
exactly. And so it's just like I think there are, in reality, a larger amount of people that do support and love police officers. And those people, they don't make the news. They don't make the news cycle at all. But the amount of hatred that I have experienced in my job has been mostly from the lower, the higher crime areas.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, do you hate me because of my job or because I'm doing my job? You know what I mean? You just don't like me because you're getting caught, you're getting busted, you're getting in trouble. And so,
yeah, that gets into a lot of tricky questions, a lot of tricky answers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know what you mean. Like I said, this will be something we'll talk about off air. But yeah, it's a very sticky situation, and depending on what you believe, it can go one way or the other. But law enforcement is overall, there's just like anything else. You can't judge a whole by a few. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I mean, you can't say just because this guy's a total jackass that everyone else that does his job or whatever is a jackass, and that goes for any job. Any job,
right?
You just can't do that.
But there's some jackass chefs.
Yes.
That it's like, dude, I wouldn't eat that guy's food no matter how good it is just because he's a jackass.
No.
But that isn't. I'm not going to go to any restaurant anymore and not eat any food anymore. Well, no, I make my own food from now on.
I don't know. I got sick at Wendy's about 11 years ago, and I've never been back. So that's true story. Yes. I don't know, but yeah, law enforcement. Hey, good to go. It's been good for me. No matter where I'm at now, that's fine. Education. It's not something that we all need. I don't think so. But it's something that I need because, I have these little tiny, little goals that I have to accomplish in order to move on. So,
have you always been like that? Like since you were a little kid, were you always goal-oriented like that, driven to the challenge?
If it's something that I really wanted to do, yes. So growing up, I'd get a small allowance, very, very small. And my dad had a program that, if you ever cussed or you didn't do your job or whatever it was, he would take 25 cents away. He would take a quarter away of our allowance, okay? So I don't even know what our allowance was, $5 a month or $10 a month, something like that, something low, okay? But you start taking a quarter away every time you forget to do something, guess what? You have pretty much nothing, right? So my brother was the kind of guy that he would spend all of his money. Every time he got his allowance, whatever it was left, $5, $3, he'd go and he'd blow it. It's gone. Me, I was the kind of guy that I would have that. I would be like, all right, I got Nintendo 64 now, or NES or whatever. I want to get that video game, a certain video game I really want. And I would be the one that would save up. And games back then were like $60 in the 90s? I don't even know. Man, they were expensive. But so I would be the one that would save up. So I think that I've always had the mentality of, if I want something, I'm just going to work towards it, and then boom, I'd get it. But then I'd move on. I'd get something else,
Yeah.
And I don't. It sounds kind of bad when I think about it, because it's like, okay, well then that must mean that's how you are towards people or whatever. But that's not. It's not, to me. It's not the same thing. It's like it's not like a marriage or a friendship or anything like that. Like, oh, let me become friends of this person, or let me get married to this person, and then you just lose interest. It's not what it is. Man, I keep in this thing. It's more of I think it's more of something that I do for myself. If I can accomplish something or see something or do something, then I know that I myself have accomplished that, and then I go on from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like another check on my little passport, or my little check on my list, which is awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, dude, I think we've said it all.
We have. I think we have a little bit of something, a little bit of nothing.
We've said plenty. We've said it all. But yeah, dude, thanks for coming down.
Anytime.
And hanging. We have to do this again for sure.
I want to.
Yeah, for sure, man. And have you come out east?
I want to. I want to come out there. Yeah,
Like a full day's trip. It's like take you 3 days to get there, but
it will. And then maybe in a couple months you can show me how this all works and stuff. And if after summer, because summer's gonna be very busy for me. But just show me what you do here. I mean, I like it. I love it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Anyway, man, thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
It's been awesome.
Yes,
sir.
Aaron. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Have a good one.